on YouTube once, and I felt so awkward doing it, but now I want to talk about my experience through diagnosis treatment of ulcerative colitis. I feel like it's really important to talk about it. I've been super inspired by all these young women like me who are showing off their bags and like not being afraid to talk about their poop. So yeah, I really wanted to be a part of that. So let's jump right into not where it all started, because that started back in maybe when I was 14, 15. It started with some stomach problems. Literally stomach, not my colon. I had biopsies taken on my stomach. They found some inflammation, but there was no real issue they could they could diagnose me with, because they said it was IBS, and that was it. And I remember crying in front of the paediatrician like, there's something really wrong. So yeah, that's kind of where my journey started, and my actual journey with ulcerative colitis started, when was it? Early 2018, maybe late 2017. So I was doing my bachelor's in computer science, and I started noticing I was going to the toilet a lot of pain. I was really fatigued, and I knew something was wrong, but I really didn't know what it was. So I started getting all these tests done, and at this point I was working as a sales prospector at a gym, and that's when I started working out really, really hard. It was actually before then, but when I started working in the gym, I started working out really hard, powerlifting, just weightlifting in general, minimal cardio, because I don't really like cardio. So then, mid-2018, I think they took a scan of my abdomen, my lower abdomen, and the middle of my abdomen. And what they found was that my bile ducts were enlarged, and they thought that something had passed through those bile ducts. And initially, when you search this up on Google, it's like, oh, that can be a sign of bile duct cancer. That's terrifying. Thinking you have bile duct cancer, which is quite serious, as is any cancer, at a young age, which I really, I'm just completely inspired by these people who go through it, because I was absolutely terrified, and I didn't think I'd come out of that alive. But alas, it didn't have cancer, so that was good. So yeah, a bunch of tests on that, like bloods were coming back fine, my inflammation markers were fine, and then went to Reading Festival, which is fantastic when you've got a pooping disease. So I had to take a portable toilet with me. It was boiling hot, so anytime I had to go to the toilet, I'd have to put it into the tent, this boiling hot tent, and go poop, and then discard it somewhere. And of course, as you know, or you should know, that Crohn's and ulcerative colitis can lead to accidents, which is such a fun part of this disease. Honestly, the best symptom, the pain, nah. The pooping yourself, amazing, so great. So yeah, when I went to Reading Festival, I had to get access to like the disabled toilet, so I could go to the toilet while I was in the middle of a crowd, which is weird to think about now with COVID. Like, I don't think that's going to happen for a while. But yeah, then I started noticing there was like spots of blood, but I thought it was just because I was straining. And anybody with like IBS or any bowel condition, bowel issues, you'll know, like sometimes you do bleed. You can get like fissures, and it's never usually anything to worry about. If it's fresh blood, so it's red, bright red, so you don't really worry about it then. You worry when it's dark blood, or it's clotting, or you have mucus in with it. Or you can get like fatty stools as well. What's next? So yeah, in November of 2018, a few months after I went to Reading Festival, I ended up going to Dallas, Texas for a conference. I tried to make sure everything was in place so that I could stay like on the aisle seat so that I could get to the toilet. Just because I knew I had something wrong, but I really didn't know what it was. And then after I got there, it must have been 2 or 3 days in, I started passing blood. And I called my mum up, and I was panicking. I was like, oh my god, is it cancer? Because I've had this scare before. So I went to the hospital over there. They said it was hemo something, just passing blood in stool. And they said you need to go back and you need to get in contact with a gastroenterologist and you need to go to your GP and find out what's going on. So I went back and they were like, oh my god, okay, blood, what do? We do a colonoscopy. So they do a colonoscopy, and what they find is that my entire colon is completely infected. I don't know if infected is the right word, but I had pancolitis everywhere, and it wasn't severe and it wasn't mild, it was quite moderate. So they were like, okay, we need to get you on some treatment now. So I started prednisolone, I think, immediately, and I'll show a picture here of my beautiful face when it was just covered in acne. I had moon face, so that just means your face swells, and for me, I feel like I've got quite a little chubby face, so it didn't really make a difference to me, and to be honest, I was outweighing the positives and the negatives of having pred. So it stopped my bleeding, it stopped the pain, all for about a month when I was on it, so I was on quite a high dosage. I then started a lot of medication, let's say 8 or 9 in total. I started on azathioprine, 6-MP, mercaptopurine, and then I moved on to biologics, which you have to go into hospital and you have to get IV treatment for it. So this biologic, the first biologic I started was infliximab. And this caused, not psoriasis, because that's what the dermatologist said it might not be, just weird eczema. I'll put pictures up here. Eczema on my scalp, like my tattoos started pitting and bleeding in between the creases of my arms and my armpits. Everywhere was just covered in this dry, really sore skin. So I went back to the dermatologist, she gave me Dermavate, and that seemed to work. But then after that, when I kept trying the Dermavate, it ended up just running rampant, and my arms were burning, I was crying from all the pain, like, if you can imagine just literally sticking your arms in boiling water, that's what my arms felt like. Maybe not to that extent, because I probably would have had 3rd-degree burns, but it felt horrific. So I said, no, I don't want to go on infliximab anymore. So they didn't put me on the same kind of family of biologic because they thought that's what would cause these skin problems. So I went on a drug called vedolizumab during this time. So this must have been early this year. My symptoms were not getting better. I was going up to 10 times a day. I was pooping myself. I was screaming in pain, waking up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet, running to the toilet, like brain fog, fatigue, everything. It was horrible. So I said, no more vedolizumab. So put me on Clipper, which is another type of steroid, but because of COVID, they couldn't put me on prednisolone because that would make me high risk, so I'd need to stay at home. So from there I went on the Clipper, which meant that I just had to enhanced socially distance, which means I couldn't come into contact with within 2 meters of anyone. So I tried to not go out. I stayed at home. I worked from home with whatever work I could do. I was a software engineer at the time. Still am until 2 weeks from now. But yeah, I was just going in and out of all these medications, getting some really weird side effects. Headaches were a really bad one. Nausea and exhaustion and all the skin problems as well. So from there we come to now, October 2019. So today, what is the date? Monday the 5th of October. I have come back from the hospital. Basically a couple months ago, years gone by so fast, a couple months ago I went to A&E with just extreme pain. I was passing so much blood I thought I was literally going to hit my head on the heating rail. And before then I'd actually been to A&E before for constipation. It was that bad that I thought I'd had toxic megacolon, which is really, really bad, and that's when you need emergency surgery. So a couple of months ago when I went to A&E, I saw a surgeon immediately. They kept me in for a sigmoidoscopy, and then they said the surgeon, this is when they put me on ustekinumab then, I don't know how many medications it is, They put me on another medication called ustekinumab, and put me on some clipper to try and calm it down, and then said they'll see me in a month to see how I'm doing and then discuss surgery. So at this point, I'd been considering surgery for at least a year and a half. So it gets to the point where you think nothing I've done so far has helped. I've tried natural remedies, like people will suggest all these natural remedies. I have tried them, I can't say I haven't. We've made homemade kefir. I've tried FODMAP diet, I've tried veganism, and none of it seemed to make any difference. The only difference I can notice is when I don't drink alcohol or when I don't eat spicy food. It does help a little bit, but it doesn't help a lot because the inflammation's still there and the ulceration is still there. And I've got fibrosis setting in now on the left side of my colon, down to my rectum, which is why they said that it needs to be removed because it's useless. And I agreed. I was like, I'm sick of it. I appreciate what you've done for me, colon, but that's it. I'm done. So today I came home from the hospital and we've agreed on a subtotal colectomy. I'll put a picture here to show you what it looks like. Basically, I didn't want a permanent bag immediately because I'm a power lifter, I weightlift, and I wanted the option to go back to a J pouch if I felt I didn't get on with the bag. If they did a permanent ileostomy with removing the rectum and sewing at my butt to make a Barbie butt made by Mattel, I wouldn't be able to go back to a J pouch. J pouches come with their problems. You lose 1% every year, I think 1% functionality or something. That's probably not correct, but she said it maybe wasn't the best option, and the surgeon I was seeing at today wasn't an expert on J pouch. The surgeon that's an expert on J pouches wouldn't be able to see me for a few months. So I agreed that it was maybe time to remove my colon, give me a bag, so I wouldn't be crapping myself all the time. So I'm really excited about that. I was sad when it came from the hospital. It's a very emotional experience, and if you're going through this yourself or you've been through it, you know how it feels. You're up one minute, down the next, like, oh my god, I've got to deal with this bag, I've got to deal with leakages, I've got to, carry all my stuff around. But, I'm at the start of this journey now, so I'm just trying to get inspired by people who've been through the same thing. And I'm hoping that this video will reach out to other people who are in the same position, because it's a super lonely disease. It's honestly the loneliest I've ever felt, even suffering from depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, OCD, rampant OCD. This is the loneliest I've felt. And I'm so glad to have a supportive network around me. I think that's so important. If your hospital is slacking, just keep pushing them, because I've been through that as well, and that's part of your support network. So yeah, I hope you've learned a little bit more about my experience, and I'll be back with some more videos to talk about maybe some other things, like maybe how I clean up my poop off the car seat. Thanks guys.